I didn't cry when she left. I cried when I saw our Sunday morning coffee rituals edited into a reel titled, How to Spot a Manipulator. At first, I didn't believe it. I thought someone had stolen our footage, those grainy handheld shots we took when the light hit just right, when her head rested on my shoulder and she'd whisper, "Save this moment forever." I did. On hard drives. On Polaroids. On film. But then I heard my voice in the background of her video, distorted but unmistakably mine, laughing, talking, living. Our memories, ripped from their context, framed as proof of my toxicity. The same laughter she once said made her feel safe was now being weaponized to sell heartbreak to strangers. She blurred my face. But not enough. Our friends knew. Her fans guessed. And suddenly, I wasn't just her ex, I was a character in her comeback story. They called me controlling, gaslighting, emotionally cold. And she just smiled for the algorithm, sipping iced lattes in cozy sweaters, crying on camera when the script called for it. What they didn't know, what no one knew, was that I didn't leave her. She left me first. Quietly. Subtly. Piece by piece, she started replacing our intimacy with content. Our late-night talks turned into camera setups. Our disagreements became storyboards. And eventually, our relationship became a brand partnership. And still, I held on. Because I believed in her. I thought love meant standing behind the lens while she shined in front of it. But now I realize she was never looking at me. She was looking through me, at the audience she hadn't met yet. So I took it all down. Every photo. Every caption. Every shot where we smiled like it meant something. If she wanted to erase me and rewrite the ending, fine. But she forgot something important. I'm the one who taught her how to frame a story. And this time, I'm telling mine. They say a camera never lies, but I've learned that truth depends on who's holding the lens. My name is Ethan Cole, 32. Photographer. Mostly weddings, sometimes portraits, rarely anything of myself. I've always preferred being behind the camera, less pressure, more control. You can frame the world just how you want it and, for a second, believe in that illusion of beauty and balance. That illusion was Jenna's playground. She knew how to use light and angles better than any influencer I'd ever met, and trust me, I've shot hundreds. But she wasn't just good on camera. She was the camera. Everything about her, the glossy hair, the staged vulnerability, the tear-streaked selfies captioned with poetic despair, looked like a curated Heartbreak ad. She didn't just post. She performed. We met 4 years ago at a rooftop engagement shoot. She was a bridesmaid, I was adjusting a strobe light. She laughed when I tripped over a light stand and spilled a tray of champagne. I remember how she crouched to help me, smiling like she'd just caught me in a rom-com opening scene. We talked that night for hours. About content, creativity, trauma, ambition. Her eyes sparkled when she spoke about one day telling her story to the world, but on my terms, she'd always say. That night, I didn't see the red flags. I only saw the lighting. Our first year together was magical in the way most beginnings are. She helped me edit my website. I taught her how to use a DSLR instead of relying on filters. We traveled a bit. I'd capture her in golden hour light, soft winds brushing her hair like a lover's hand. She'd tag me in posts with cute captions, my behind-the-scenes genius lightbulb camera with flash dot. Our love grew, pixel by pixel, until our lives were fully online. And maybe that's where the problem started. I liked art, not attention. She liked attention, and called it art. She'd post our arguments in cryptic Instagram stories. A broken wine glass. A close-up of tear-filled eyes. The back of my head as I walked away from a dimly lit kitchen. Some people love you only when you're easy to love, she once captioned, the night we fought about her uploading a video of us arguing over rent. I begged her to stop airing our intimacy like that. She told me I was controlling. I'm not exposing you, Ethan, she snapped once. I'm expressing myself. But expression without consent is exploitation, isn't it? Still, I stayed. I wanted to believe she'd grow out of it. That she'd eventually care more about the life we were building than the likes and algorithms. There were good days. Slow Sunday mornings with coffee and jazz in the background. Road trips where we laughed like teenagers. Nights curled up on the couch watching indie films no one else cared about. But every beautiful moment seemed to find its way into her feed. Even my proposal, a private, clumsy, rain-soaked question asked under a flickering street lamp, was turned into a perfectly filtered montage with music, transitions, and a sponsorship tag. People need to see real love, she'd said. But it never felt real when there was always a phone recording, always a caption ready before the moment even finished happening. One afternoon, while I was sorting prints for a client, I overheard her talking to her friend on speakerphone. "I have so much unreleased content. Honestly, if Ethan and I ever break up, I'd have an entire series ready." She laughed. So did her friend. I didn't say anything then. I just stared at the roll of black and white film in my hands and wondered when exactly love had become source material. There were other signs. The password changes on our shared accounts. The secret shoots with dramatic titles in the folders, "Healing from Him," "Alone Not Lonely," "Toxic Love Reels." All filmed while we were still together. She even started labeling our old photo folders with names like, "Before the Fall," and, "Content Archive." The truth is, I saw the cracks before the collapse. But when you've been framing someone in soft focus for so long, it's hard to admit the picture's been distorted. My friends began drifting. They didn't get it. They thought I was lucky. "You've got a beautiful, successful girlfriend who's putting your work out there every day. That's exposure, man." But I wasn't building a portfolio, I was building a life. One that didn't require constant surveillance to prove its worth. The final straw was a photo she posted of me asleep, shirtless, vulnerable, sprawled across our couch with dark circles under my eyes and a bottle of painkillers on the coffee table. The caption: "This is what burnout looks like. Don't let a man drain you to this point." The image got 87,000 likes. I didn't get a text. That night, I packed a bag and left. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just left a note. "You've shared every piece of me but forgot to ask if I wanted to be seen that way. So now, I'm stepping out of the frame." It's been 6 months. I erased every shared file, deleted the backups, took down all the couple shots from my portfolio. The ones that remain, artful but haunting, live in a locked drive I don't open anymore. But Jenna? She didn't just move on. She rebranded. And now, she's turned our entire relationship into a Toxic X series on YouTube. And the worst part? She made sure to blur my face, but kept my voice in. My voice. My pain. My story. Twisted, remixed, monetized. But stories belong to both people. And if she thinks she gets the last word, she clearly forgot who taught her how to tell stories in the first place. I should have known something was off the moment I stopped recognizing the sound of my own name. It came in the form of a muffled voicemail, clipped and distorted, playing in the background of a YouTube video that autoplayed while I was editing a wedding shoot. Jenna's voice, clear as daylight, narrating. He said love was sacred, but couldn't say it without looking like he was choking. My spine locked. I minimized Lightroom and switched tabs. There she was. Jenna, framed perfectly in soft pink tones, sitting on our old couch. My couch. The one we hauled up 3 flights of stairs together when we first moved in. She looked flawless. Hair styled, makeup natural but dewy, that curated vulnerability she'd perfected. The title of the video stopped my breath cold. Toxic X Files EP1, The Man Who Couldn't Love Me. I didn't need to watch the full 14 minutes. I knew the furniture. The photos on the wall. The blurry silhouette in the background that she didn't even try to disguise well. It was me. She didn't say my name, no, but my voice was there, snippets of private arguments reduced to soundbites. My face, blurred but distinct if you knew what to look for. The tone was cruel in its precision, not overt slander, but surgical character dissection. She had framed me as the emotionally unavailable, cold, passive-aggressive partner who couldn't handle a powerful woman. My hands shook. I paused the video right at the moment she fake laughed and said, "He told me once, not everything needs to be posted," and I wish I'd listened. Because hiding who I was for him was the real prison. I stared at her frozen face on screen, her eyes wide with faux innocence, and felt something rupture inside me. Not anger. Not yet. Just, the hollow collapse of disbelief. I opened my inbox. 6 new messages. 2 from clients asking if I'd seen the video. 1 saying they needed to reschedule indefinitely. Another simply said, "Just wow. Didn't expect that from you, man." I didn't even know who it was from. By the time I found the strength to type her name into the search bar, her entire channel had been rebranded. Toxic X Files, A Healing Journey Through Heartbreak. 5 episodes. Over 1 million views in 2 weeks. Each thumbnail is a carefully chosen snapshot of Jenna looking contemplative, bruised by memory, soft lighting bathing her like she was the victim of some silent war. In the comments section, the wolves were circling. "You're so brave for speaking your truth. Men like him never admit they're the problem. We've all dated Ethan." My name. Right there. I hadn't even given consent for my voice to be used. I called her. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same thing. By the third time, I was pacing the apartment, our apartment. Well, now. Her things were gone, replaced by an emptiness I had learned to live with. But this wasn't closure. This was character assassination by algorithm. She finally picked up on the fourth call. Her voice was chipper. "Hey, Ethan. What the hell are you doing?" I asked, no attempt to hide the rage cutting through my voice. A pause. Then, feigned confusion. "What do you mean? You're using our memories like props. You're broadcasting our private life to the world and painting me like I'm some kind of monster." She sighed, like I was exhausting her. "I never said your name. You didn't have to, Jenna. You left my voice in. My photos. Our home. You think people are stupid?" A beat of silence. Then, calmly, "I needed to tell my story. People relate to it. And you weren't saying anything, so, why shouldn't I?" My hands clenched around the phone. "Because it wasn't yours alone to tell. Because you're weaponizing intimacy. Because you know exactly what you're doing." Her voice hardened. "You always wanted to be invisible, Ethan. Behind the camera. Well, congrats. No one sees you now. They see me. That was always the problem, wasn't it?" Click. She hung up. I stood there, phone to my ear, for maybe a minute. Then another. And then I opened my laptop and began deleting. All of it. Every photo of us. Every backup file. Every saved draft of the engagement shoot we never posted. Gone. But no matter how many times I pressed delete, her voice kept playing in my head like static, looping, mocking. She said I didn't feel enough. That I wasn't present enough. But now she was using every trace of my presence to fuel her rise. And what was I supposed to do? Fight back online? Post my side? Who would believe me now that her narrative was already gospel? I thought of the years I spent shielding her from online hate, scrubbing hateful comments, helping her edit footage when she cried over algorithms and shadow bans. And this is how she paid me back. Not with closure. With content. That night, I didn't sleep. I scrolled. More views. More comments. One person even posted a TikTok reacting to the episode, pretending to be me, with fake tears and all. I wasn't just erased. I was being rewritten. But she made one mistake. She thought I'd stay behind the camera. She forgot that I taught her everything she knows about storytelling. And if she was going to turn our life into a show, then I was going to give the audience a new episode, one she'd never see coming. I thought deleting the photos would be enough. I thought scrubbing her from my hard drives, taking down every framed memory from my studio, and unfollowing her everywhere would close that chapter. But you can't erase someone who keeps resurrecting you for content. It started slow, people I barely knew messaging me on Instagram. "Hey, is that you she's talking about in her video?" Then came the comments under my latest portfolio posts. "I can't believe you did that to her. Wow, so you're the toxic ex. Man's out here doing weddings when he can't even handle love himself." I hadn't seen the video yet. I didn't want to. But curiosity is a stubborn parasite. When I finally clicked on it, I didn't get 5 seconds in before I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. There she was, Jenna, framed in soft lighting, perfectly composed, eyes a little watery but not too much. She was always good with the performance of pain. "I used to think love was about compromise," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "But when you keep shrinking yourself to fit someone else's frame, you disappear." She never said my name. But the edits, the B-roll, the voice clips, the goddamn blurred-out background of my studio in one shot, it was all there. Subtle enough for deniability. Specific enough for mutual friends, ex-clients, and internet sleuths to connect the dots. And then came episode 2. And episode 3. She'd turned our relationship into a serialized expose, Toxic X-Files. My life was now an aesthetic, pain turned into a punchline. At first, I froze. I told myself it would pass. That people would move on. That silence was dignity. But you can only stay quiet so long before silence starts sounding like guilt. A week later, I was sitting in the corner booth of a coffee shop I used to love, hood up, sunglasses on, hoping no one recognized me. I was supposed to be editing a shoot from a recent engagement session, but my focus was as scattered as the light outside, uncertain, cloudy, ready to rain. "Are you Ethan Hale?" a voice asked. Soft, cautious. A woman stood at the edge of my table, holding an oat milk latte and a notebook pressed to her chest. I braced myself. "Yeah. I'm Talia. Talia Reid. I've seen your work." She offered a smile, genuine but reserved. "I'm a documentary filmmaker. I watched her series. And then I looked you up." I didn't say anything. "I think what's happening to you is calculated," she said. "And unfair. And I'd like to talk, if you're willing." Something about her voice felt different. No pity. No judgment. Just curiosity. Honest and dangerous. We met 3 times that week. I told her everything. Not in the desperate, ranting way I expected, but calmly, almost clinically, like laying out film negatives in the darkroom. She asked questions. She listened without interrupting. She took notes. On the 3rd meeting, she said, "You don't need to make a response. You need to make a record. Something true. Quiet power always hits hardest." That phrase stuck with me. Quiet power. She proposed a short-form doc. Nothing reactive. Nothing slanderous. Just, my version. Images. Old footage. My narration. My story, not to tear Jenna down, but to build myself back up. For the first time in weeks, I exhaled. But just as I began considering reclaiming my own narrative, Jenna posted episode 5. This time, she wasn't subtle. She played an old voicemail of mine. One where I was apologizing after a fight. She edited it with melancholy piano music and a shaky zoom on her tear-streaked face. I sounded desperate. Broken. The context was gone. The reason I apologized. Gone. The manipulation. Buried under her curated sadness. The video hit 1 million views in 3 days. I lost 3 clients that week. 2 said they wanted a photographer who respects women. 1 just ghosted me. I felt like I was drowning in a sea I didn't even jump into. And that's when the anger arrived. Not rage. Not revenge. Something deeper. Colder. Conviction. I called Talia. "I'm in," I said. "Let's do it." We didn't start by shooting anything new. We started by digging. Old drives. Forgotten voice memos. Photos that never made it to Instagram. Journals. Conversations with mutual friends. Time stamps. I wasn't trying to expose Jenna. I was trying to exhume myself. The footage spoke for itself. Shots of her coaching her expression in mirror selfies, rehearsing candid, emotional moments, staging arguments to get real tension for her stories. One clip haunted me, a home video where I caught her talking to her sister on speaker. "He doesn't get it," Jenna had said, laughing. "But that's the magic, he's real. He doesn't perform." I can spin anything with that. She wasn't evil. She was strategic. One night, we stayed in Talia's editing suite until 3 a.m. She turned to me, bleary-eyed, and said, "Are you ready for people to hear your voice? Not as a rebuttal, but as truth." I nodded. We called the doc, The Other Side of the Lens. It was only 12 minutes long. A minimalist blend of still photos, recorded memories, timestamp overlays, and a quiet monologue. No names. No accusations. Just truth, wrapped in clarity. We released it without fanfare. No sponsored post. No hashtags. Just a Vimeo link shared on my nearly dead Facebook page, captioned, "Sometimes, silence isn't peace. Sometimes, it's survival." This is my side of the lens. It spread like wildfire. People didn't just watch, they felt. Comments flooded in. This made me cry without saying a single bad word about her. I believed her. Now I believe him. I've never seen such calm strength. Photographers shared it. So did mental health pages. A few creators even took down their reactions to Jenna's series after watching it. It wasn't revenge. It was a restoration. Jenna. She went dark for a while. Disabled comments. Delayed episode 6. Then she messaged me. "Jenna, Ethan. We need to talk, please." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I replied. "Me, the story's told. I'm done performing." I didn't block her. I just stopped replying. For once, my silence was mine to own. I didn't set out to destroy her. I just wanted to disappear, to fade out of her narrative like a forgotten subheading. For weeks, I stayed offline. Deleted everything. Burned hard drives. Erased metadata. I watched as my past got stitched into clickbait thumbnails and monetized into Heartbreak merchandise. Every lie she told felt like a blade. Clean, precise. He couldn't handle my success. He told me to stop creating. I wasn't allowed to cry. And people believed her. Strangers started messaging me. One guy said I reminded him of his abusive dad. Another called me a parasite of potential. My inbox turned into a cemetery of reputations I never earned. Then came the final straw. One of my longtime clients canceled a shoot. When I asked why, they hesitated. Said their brand wasn't comfortable being associated with the controversy. I remember staring at the message for a full minute. Not blinking. Not breathing. I wasn't angry. I was hollow. Like someone had gutted me quietly while I was asleep. That night, I met Talia for coffee. She'd been gently nudging me to respond, not react, but respond. You don't owe the internet your rage, she said, sipping slowly. But you do owe yourself the truth. I laughed bitterly. And what good is truth when edited lies are viral? Talia leaned in, her eyes sharp and calm. Because truth lasts longer than trends. And you're a storyteller, Ethan. Not a ghost. She was right. I'd spent my life behind the camera, capturing other people's legacies. Maybe it was time to reclaim my own. We didn't rush it. The revenge plan didn't look like revenge, not at first. We started with silence. No trailers. No hashtags. No cryptic reels with ominous music. Just a concept. The other side of the lens. We used my original footage, clips I'd kept encrypted, not for spite, but for closure. Videos of Jenna laughing during take after take, then snapping into influencer mode the moment the camera focused. Arguments I'd recorded for self-reflection, not for proof. Voice memos she left during our lowest moments, each one contradicting the public story she now sold. But the key wasn't in showing she was a liar. It was showing I was human. We built it like a short film. No names. No blaming. Just moments. I narrated softly, telling stories behind the pictures. This was the day I asked her to go phone-free for our anniversary. She said yes, smiled, and then hid her second phone in her purse for content. Here, we're laughing at a dog trying to steal our food. 10 minutes later, she told me I was bored for not wanting to post it. Not rage. Not a scandal. Just honesty. Talia handled the editing. She was a magician with pacing, letting silence speak louder than score. She didn't drown it in sad music. Just ambient tones, raw cuts, and dissolves into black. It felt like memory itself, fractured, painful, but real. We uploaded it at midnight. No promo. Just a quiet drop on my barely used Vimeo page and a link in my story with 5 words. My side. No performance needed. The ripple didn't start big. It started precisely. Photographers. Filmmakers. A few loyal clients who knew me before Jenna's rise. They watched. They shared. They commented not with outrage, but resonance. This is what manipulation looks like in soft focus. He never once names her. That says more than anything. Art that bleeds honesty. Within 24 hours, an indie journalism page picked it up. By the third day, Reddit was dissecting timelines, comparing frames from Jenna's Toxic X series to stills from the other side of the lens. They noticed the overlaps. The timing. The subtle digital fingerprints. Then came the backlash. A viral tweet. Turns out that Toxic X was the one building a brand of lies. Ethan didn't fight back. He just told the truth beautifully. Brands began to quietly pull away from Jenna. Sponsorships were paused. Comments on her videos turned brutal. Still, I didn't celebrate. This wasn't about destroying her. It was about undoing me, the broken, muted version of myself I'd become. One night, about a week after the release, I walked past a small cafe that was playing my film on loop. Not on TV. On a projector against a brick wall. A crowd sat with headphones, silent, absorbing every second. I stood in the shadow, unnoticed. And for the first time, I felt seen. Then she called. Blocked number. Late at night. I knew it was her before I picked up. There was a pause. A breath. Then. You made me look like a monster. I didn't speak. She continued. You said you wouldn't speak out. You promised me peace. I felt a chill. That word, peace. She'd always used it like a leash. I didn't expose you, I said evenly. I exposed the truth. If you recognize yourself in it, that's not on me. Silence again. Then a crackle in her voice. Can we meet? Talk, off camera. A pause. I imagined her face, for the first time not lit by a ring light. I'm done being a subject, I replied. This time, I'm keeping the lens on me. And I hung up. The final scene of the doc was just me. Standing in an empty studio. Camera in hand, facing a mirror. No narration. No edits. Just breathe. For once, I wasn't documenting someone else's story. I was the story. The internet's attention faded, as it always does. The outrage cooled. Jenna took a break from content creation, claiming it was for her mental health journey. But I didn't watch it. I didn't need to. I wasn't chasing revenge anymore. I was chasing the truth. And I'd finally caught it. The gallery smelled faintly of varnish and coffee, and beneath the murmurs of strangers admiring my work, there was a silence I hadn't heard in months. The kind of silence that wrapped itself around your shoulders. Not cold, not warm, just real. Honest. Like the truth itself. I stood in the back corner of the exhibit, hands in my pockets, letting the voices float. Every wall was lined with pieces from the other side of the lens. My voice layered over black and white photos. Our old apartment window was lit by the morning sun. The untouched cup of coffee I brought her that day she told me I sucked the air out of a room. A photo of my reflection in a broken mirror I couldn't throw away. People didn't need captions. They felt it. That's what I'd learned. When the truth is honest, it doesn't need an introduction. Your work made me cry, someone said behind me. I turned slowly. A woman in her mid-30s, teary-eyed but smiling, held out her phone to show me my own photo on her lock screen. This saved me from going back to him. I didn't know what to say. So I nodded. Then it was worth it. I never set out to expose Jenna. That's what made this different from what she did. I didn't twist her image or turn our love into content. I told my story, raw and unfiltered. And the world listened, not because I shouted, but because I stopped trying to be quiet about pain I didn't deserve. Across the room, I saw Talia. She wasn't smiling for the crowd, just watching me. The way she always did, like she was filming with her eyes. She gave me a small nod, and I returned it. We were good. No words needed. I took one more lap around the gallery. By the exit, an elderly man had stopped in front of the photo titled, Unsent, a shot of a typed but crumpled letter I wrote and never sent to Jenna. He looked at it for what felt like 5 minutes before wiping his cheek and walking away. That was all the review I needed. Outside, the wind was different. Maybe it was me who had changed. I headed home with nothing in my hands but a Polaroid camera I'd dusted off from a storage box weeks ago. It felt right again, to shoot for myself, not for likes, not for applause. When I stepped into my apartment, there was an envelope on the floor. No stamp. No return address. Just my name, handwritten, in a familiar slant. I shut the door behind me and sat on the floor, envelope resting in my lap. I opened it slowly, expecting closure or cruelty, I wasn't sure which. But instead, I found photographs. Real ones. Film. Not digitized. They were grainy and softly lit, moments I didn't even remember being captured. Me laughing on a ferry. A blurry close-up of my fingers adjusting a lens. The back of my head, watching the sunrise from our old balcony. One of me asleep on the couch, a half-finished book resting on my chest. And on the last one, Jenna had scrawled something in ink along the border. Not all memories were poisoned. Maybe it's time to make new ones. I didn't cry. I didn't smile either. I just sat there and looked. Maybe she was right. Or maybe this was her final act, giving me back what she'd stolen. Either way, it didn't matter. I took one of the photos, the sunrise one, and pinned it to my fridge with a magnet that said, "Be still." The rest, I slid into a box labeled, "Before." Tomorrow, I'd be meeting with a publisher interested in turning the gallery project into a book. Talia said I should think about it, not just as a story, but as a beginning. Maybe I will. Because something shifted in me tonight. I used to think revenge was the destination. That vindication was the win. But really, it was the silence that mattered. The absence of anger. The space where healing finally had room to breathe. And just as I thought the night was over, my phone buzzed with a notification. An anonymous comment on the final video in the doc series. "I know what she did to you. I was her next. She did it to me too. And beneath that, there's more. I think people deserve to know." I stared at it for a moment, not because I wanted vengeance again, but because some stories don't end. They ripple. And maybe this was the start of another wave. One I wouldn't ride alone.